If we are, let's say, a couple months away from a competition, I focus on the technical side of things, and I like to split everything up. So I'll have maybe one session, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on, the time of day as well as how my body's feeling. I'll do that one session purely on first shot. So I'll put on the timer and focus on that first shot, and I'll only load 1 or 2 bullets. First shot, carry over to second, come back. I believe it's really important to focus on this just because it's the start of your shooting, and it's really good to break down different aspects. My next session after that might be purely just 8-second series. And in this training session, I like to focus on the first shot for 8-second series and what that looks like. So I'll put a timer on for 4 seconds, and I'll just do the first shot, carry over to the second shot, and come back down. Important to focus on this part, and it gives you that little bit of confidence of what the shooting should look like. And then I will move on to 8-second series. And in 8-second series, I will just put on an 8-second timer and just go through the motions and really focusing on the body. I like to do 20-minute blocks, and in each 20-minute block, I focus on a different aspect. So in my first 20 minutes, I will focus on the body and the movement between my hips and my thighs and how that should feel. The next 20-minute block, I will focus mainly on results. So I might, give myself a goal of I have to shoot 5 10s 3 times in a row. And if I don't do it, maybe I will do a practice series after that where no bullets, just go through the motions, do a dry fire series, and then do it again. So, and then the next 20-minute block after that, I might focus purely on the technique of the trigger pull and my sights. So what that looks like as well, where I'll pull the trigger on each target, making sure that it's technically right. So I think it's really important to break it down to different blocks as well. That way you're covering all aspects of what rapid fire shooting looks like. And then after training sessions after that, whether they're 3-4 times a week, they'll focus on different time sequences with those goals in the back of my mind. So 6 seconds, same thing. Focus on the body, focus on the sights and what the trigger pull looks like, as well as focusing on results based and what the score should be, as well as that first shot. So if you break it down to little aspects like that, it'll really improve your rapid fire shooting. So a really important factor is make sure your body's warmed up and that your body parts, are warmed up. So your legs, your core, your arms, shoulders, back. You really want to make sure that the body is ready to go. You don't want to be having that feeling of you just jumped out of bed and you're ready for competition. You want to come to the range physically warmed up, physically warm up at the range as well. So this includes a lot of body exercises, so dynamic stretches, including as well as lifting a little bit of weight. So you can use the weight of your actual gun to use that for lifts of the arm and to really warm up and get a good routine going. So there's some of the stuff that I do quite a lot of lifts with high reps with the gun, because the gun weighs about 1.3 to 1.5 kilos. So it's not too heavy. However, it does still give you that feeling of strength and that feeling of like you're warmed up before the match. And what you want to do as well, you want to give your body some movement as well with the gun, with your arm out as well. That way it will just provide warm up and security for your match prior to the match. So it really gets your core working, really gets your legs working. And with rapid fire shooting especially, that's your main, that's your ally, that's your friend, that's what you want. You want your body to feel warm, you want everything to feel warmed up and ready to go, and you want to be just physically ready for the match. First shot is a really important factor, and in times before a competition, when you focus on the technical side of things, you really want to produce a really good first shot. So what I like to do is I like to take time out of my training session and just focus on lifting into the first target, firing a shot and coming back down. Lifting to the first target, firing a shot and coming back down. I believe this is a really important drill because it really just emphasizes an important factor of rapid fire shooting and the rest of the shooting and how I can produce good results. And I think an essential tool to have is a stopwatch because we do get 1 minute load, so you really want to know how that load is going and where you are with your match. So when the range officer or the judge says load, you have 1 minute to load. What I like to do in that 1 minute is firstly I like to load the magazine with my 5 bullets. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I'm in a competition where I'm nervous and I feel like I need to kind of relax my body a bit, I hold my breath while I load the 5 shots. So I will go. So I like to hold my breath and then slowly release. When you hold your breath and slowly release, it relaxes your muscles a bit and kind of brings down that tension, and also slows down your heart rate as well. So it kind of helps you with your nerves and helps you battle that kind of, helps you battle the nerves as well. Another thing I like to do, once I've loaded the magazine, I like to make sure my body feels good. I lift my arm up in the ready position. So I act like I'm holding the gun, but I'm actually not. I'm just kind of going through the motions and going through what I will be doing later on. So I hold my magazine in my hand and I come down to the ready position and I line myself up on the target and I go through the motions of every target, making sure that my body feels strong. I'm stopping at every target and I'm pulling that trigger smoothly. I like to repeat that to myself before I shoot, and it gives me that little bit of self-confidence into like, I know what I'm doing. So once I've done that, I take the flag out of the gun, put the magazine into the gun, grip the gun, make sure that everything is strong and I'm holding the gun strongly, load the gun, and I'll pop it back down. Usually at this time I'm sitting around the 45-second mark. When I hit that 45-second mark, I like to close my eyes a bit and do a bit of visualization and kind of going through the series. Once I visualize what my first shot looks like, and get my body ready, bring the gun down to the ready position, come up to the target, and at this point the range officer would say attention, and then you go through the motions of what your series looks like after that. So leading up to a competition, whether it's 1 week before or a couple of days before or maybe the night before, I like to do more visualization exercises as well as like I said before, as well as just reinforce my body. So an exercise I like to do is I like to grab the gun, have it not loaded, just the gun itself, and I like to aim at the targets, do my usual routine. However, when I come to the targets, I like to close my eyes and really go through the motions of what the series looks like and have that visualization whilst I'm moving my gun across the targets. So the reason I like to do this is because it takes away the sight of, seeing what looks wrong, and it really just makes me focus on how my body feels and what my body is going through when I'm shooting. So when I close my eyes, I'm not shooting, I'm just going through the motions and reinforcing that body and reinforcing how that feels and what that should be feeling like. So a common thing with rapid fire shooting is not getting that first shot off correctly. And what I do when that happens to me is I just focus on the rest of the series, and because you don't have a lot of time to adapt, you either have 8, 6 or 4 seconds, you almost just give yourself that habit of just forgetting about it and moving on. So, if you go up with that first shot and you feel like it's not the best shot, maybe your sights weren't in line, you didn't pull the trigger properly, whatever it may be, you kind of almost just subconsciously forget about it because there's nothing else you can do, and you go to each target and you perform what you know and what you can do. So after that first shot, you have a little bit of reflection time, and then you see, all right, so my sights weren't in line, let's make sure the next 4 shots, sights are in line, we're good to go. Because you don't have a lot of time, there's not much you can do in a sense of reflecting what you should do. You kind of just take that brief moment to reflect and you move forward and you keep going with the rest of the series. One thing as well that a common shooter might make a mistake of is they let that first shot affect them and it ruins the rest of their series. You don't want that to happen. You want to move on from that first shot and produce the best shots you can for the next 4 shots, because 9 times out of 10, that first shot is not even that bad and you overplay it in your head, because shooting is a mental game. So when you see a bad shot from here, usually on the target, on the score, it's actually not that bad. What separates a good shooter from a great shooter, I believe, is mindset. So if you are a good shooter who has good technique and you shoot regularly good scores, but you want to approach that great level, I think having that really good mindset and having that trust in yourself is what will take you to that next point. Another aspect I think is discipline. I think being disciplined with your life and being disciplined with your trainings is what will make you that next point. You know, if you come for a 2-hour training and you want to focus on maybe having the sights in line, or focus on the technique of shooting, you come and you do that 2 hours of technical shooting, you'll be a better shooter and you'll work your way up to that great shooter. If you come to your training session and you sit on your phone half the time, you do a couple of shots, you feel distracted and you're not really focusing on the task, you'll remain a good shooter and you'll be working backwards. You won't be working forwards. And I believe having that really good mindset and working on your mental side of shooting as well is what will make you a great shooter, because shooting is 80% mentality, 20% physicality. You know, there are shooters out there that don't look like bodybuilders, they don't look like a typical athlete, but they're mentally some of the strongest people in the world, and that's how they're able to produce a good result and produce Olympic gold medals. So some exercises I do outside the range that help me focus and help me, you know, achieve what I want to do on the range is mentally driven as well as strength driven. So a big one I do is hula hooping, but specifically with a weighted hula hoop. The hula hoop usually weighs about 2 kilos. And when you use this hula hoop, it really builds up your core strength. And this will help with shooting, especially with that body transition between the targets. Another exercise I like to focus on is, it would help if I had one, but I focus on getting on a yoga ball, like a medicine ball, with on my knees, and I throw a ball at a wall, and I really focus on my reflexes and catching the ball whilst holding myself on the yoga ball, on the medicine ball. This not only increases my strength in my core and my stability, it also helps with my reflexes and helps with my shooting in the sense of I can react better to when I need to shoot.